I think there's only one character left that's deserving of the slot of A+ tier, and that's going to be Cinder. Cinder is a character that doesn't have a lot of damage output at a first glance, but when you take into consideration how much potential damage... I've changed my mind. On August 26th, 2021, I created a tier list, which I believe to be the definitive Killer Instinct tier list. I thought that was going to be it. That was probably going to be the last tier list for the game. A year later, I really don't feel that way. I was like pretty sure that that was going to be the last one, and now I'm kind of scratching my head like, what? So realistically, there's not too many changes to this list, but there are some important ones, and I also think that there is a very clear difference in the bottom 5 now. I think that's really where the big jump is, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, why do you think that? So I will be explaining all of my reasonings in this video. Alrighty, so right off the bat, I want to clarify the tiers themselves have changed a little bit as far as the way I order these characters. The way I order them is going to be different from last time. So let's go over that right now. First and foremost, we have this top tier. I think this is reserved for one character and one character only, and that is because they have no bad matchups. Yeah, I think that's pretty clear who that's going to be. This orange tier right here, this is going to be for the characters in S tier that have barely any bad matchups. All right, this middle tier right here, this is the A tier. These characters are still very good, but the issue with them is they have at least one really harsh counterpick. All right, the fourth tier here, the B tier. These characters starting to get a little bit lower now. Everybody in this tier, in this category, have several counterpicks, several bad matchups. All right, last but not least, we have the C tier. I did not have a C tier in my tier list last time. My thoughts and opinions have changed due to competitive reasons, things that I've seen happen in this game, and I kind of feel like the game has evolved into the fact that we have a C tier. We have characters that we're probably never going to see win a tournament due to the competitive nature of the characters that we see on an average basis. I don't think the characters that are going to go in this tier are going to ever win a big tournament ever again. All right, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of this. I am going to be ordering these characters in the order that they appear on the character select screen. That's going to make things a little bit more interesting than going just from top to bottom. So we're starting with Jago. I believe Jago is in the C tier, and a lot of people are going to like, what? Why? And the reason is he cannot win a big tournament by himself. He just can't. I don't think it's possible. I think if you put the top level players all in a pool together and you take a Jago main, they have very, very, very low chances of winning the tournament by themselves without the help of another character. I just don't think he can do it. I think he has several counter picks and more. He's got a lot of bad matchups. You're going to factor in his instinct and you're going to say his life regeneration is broken. Sure, it's killer instinct. But a good player is going to avoid that from happening, and they're going to make sure that he can't get his life back, or he's going to not get 2 instincts or something like that. I don't know. This character, I don't think he's very good in the current state of the game, so I have him in C tier. All right, the next character in line is going to be Saber Wolf. I think that this character goes in the B tier, personally. I don't think it's impossible for this character to win a big tournament, because I just think the nature of the character, how fast-paced he is, I think it's very possible that he could win a tournament, but it would be very hard because he does have several counter picks, he does have several bad matchups, and it's not easy to play this character solo. I think that you see all the Saber Wolf players across history of Season 3, and a lot of them have gotten close, but I don't think it's just not going to happen. Not with this character. It's just too hard. It's just absolutely too hard. And there's too many people that know this matchup, right? Like, he's a Season 1 demon. This character was everybody's worst nightmare back in Season 1. So everybody's practiced the crap out of how to fight Saber Wolf. So there's a lot of experience there. It could happen, but the chances are very slim. I have Saber Wolf in the B tier. All right, next up on the list, we have Glacious. Glacious has been an actual demon in tournaments lately. And because of the tech that was discovered, where you can get a hard knockdown guaranteed off of level 1 Hailender, I think this character has moved up on the tier list for me. I have Glacious in S tier. I think this character has barely any bad matchups. I think he has like maybe a handful at best, maybe somewhere between 3 and 4, which in a 29 character game, that's not a lot. And I do think he kind of smokes a lot of characters. He's got crazy pressure. His cold shoulder is nuts. His wake up options are crazy. His instinct is crazy. His damage output, his range, his corner game, the stuff that we've been seeing Skate Fast do in the corner, out of control. I have this character in S tier. Moving on to Chief Thunder. I have this character here in the A tier. This character is very good. Hologram, obviously a very strong player. I do think this character is a little overrated these days. We saw some tier lists where this character was ranked pretty high pretty recently. And I just think giving the characters that we have in this game, it's impossible for me to rank this character higher due to what the characters that are above him are capable of. I really feel like he's pretty nuts. He's out of control, but there are some matchups that I think are a little questionable for him. Like, I really think he has a hard time with like Shin Hisako, Agnost, and Rash. That's 3 right there. And, you know, despite this character's weaknesses, he is still very capable of winning a tournament. And if Hologram shows up right now and he decides he wants to go to Combo Breaker next year, I might not know what to do. But nevertheless, this character is in the A tier for me. Still very, very good, just not quite top 5. The next character on this list is Shadow Jago. I also believe this character is going to be somewhere in the A tier. This character is still very strong, high risk, high reward. Shadow Jago really hasn't changed too much for me on my tier list. I do think he's being rediscovered in a way. I think people are really finding out that the best way to use Shadow Jago is to really use his instinct in particular ways, like which matchups you want to prioritize using Annihilation to punish things, or which matchups you want to use the meter steal with the dark tether. I don't know what it's actually called. The way he can steal people's meter. I think against characters like Full Gore or Kill Gore, that's a really strong strategy to take away their options and kind of just fill up the screen with Shadow Shendo-Kukens. This character isn't bad, and I do think there are a couple matchups he kind of struggles in a little bit where it's just like, Shay doesn't really... He has a way to represent everything, but he's not great at any one thing. He's just like super middle of the road for me. This character could definitely win, but it would take some work. All right, the next character we have here is Sedira. And this might be a hot topic too, but I have Sedira in C tier. I think a lot of the Sedira players are probably going to be happy about that. Like, oh yeah, my bottom 5 queen. I know. The cat's meowing at me too. I know. This character, let's put it this way. In Instinct, she is a menace. She is a bottom 5 character with a top 3 instinct. But I really feel like her instinct might be the only thing she has. Outside of instinct, she's just kind of like whatever. There are some characters that, you know, have a hard time dealing with certain things that she does. Like her double jump is very annoying. Her neutral can be very annoying if you're not ready for it and you don't know how to deal with it. But for the characters that know how to deal with it and the players that know how to deal with it, like looking for those anti-air angles or knowing how to air her properly, how to punish her for doing Widow's Bite, stuff like that, knowing how to control her wake up as well, because she doesn't have any real wake up option. It's a struggle for this character on paper. She's very annoying. I don't like fighting her, but I see her weaknesses and I see why this character is probably never going to win a big tournament ever again by herself. I just don't see it happening. She can maybe get to grand finals, maybe, but you have to make sure every single round you are getting 2 instincts and you are using them to the best of your ability. Because if you're not, I don't know how you're going to do it, because this character has so many 7-3s across the board. It's not even funny. And I just don't see Sedira ever winning anything ever again. It's not happening. Okay. All right. The next character on the tier list is Orchid. I very previously had this character as the worst character in the game. I did not believe in Orchid at all. I really felt like this character was just kind of underwhelming, and I was just like, we'll probably never see her do anything again. That has changed. This character is busted and ridiculous, and she is a menace, and I am kind of legit afraid of this character. And it's all thanks to Crazy Skate Nate. You guys got to check out Crazy Skate Nate if you haven't already. This character has been completely redefined by this man, and he has put in some crazy work with this character. And the stuff that he has found in like this past month and posted on Twitter, my God, this character might even move up in next year's tier list. Who knows? Right now, I have Orchid in A tier. I think Orchid is crazy. I think Orchid is like super crazy. And it all has to do with stuff that's not really supposed to happen, because she is the only character in the cast that if she has a bar of meter, she on paper cannot be counter broken, and she gets free combo breakers. So you have to combo her differently, and you have to place your combos differently against her. It's very difficult to deal with at a high level. Also, what if I told you Orchid has a teleport? She could teleport from full screen with her fire cats. I don't know how to do it. I can't replicate it. Maybe that's the time. That's going to be a separate video or something. I don't know. Crazy Skate Nate figured it out. This character has a teleport in instinct, and it's not always practical, but the argument that this character can't get in on anybody is now gone. It's gone. She literally can teleport full screen. That, and let's look at the facts here. Her mobility is nuts. She has crazy walk speed. She has crazy defensive options. She has a real DP. She has a backdash that's really crazy. She's got really fast shadow moves with a low crush. My God, this character has a lot more than I realized. Her damage output, of course, and she can really make certain characters' life miserable. I really feel like her pressure is kind of underrated. She's got a lot of plus frames, and she really can just monopolize the screen now with her grenades and her fire cats. I totally underrated this character, and I feel bad. That's my fire cat talking in the background. I don't know if you could hear that. Anyway, yeah, Orchid moved up severely. Definitely the biggest change you're going to see on this list. Orchid no longer bottom 5, nowhere near the bottom 5. Yeah, she's busted. Alrighty, next in line, we got the Spinal. Going to be in the B tier for me. I don't think it's impossible for this character to win a tournament, but I don't think it's going to be very easy, and I think it's going to be a mental struggle. Just like Saber Wolf, I think this character is going to have a hard time winning a tournament by himself. He's got some crazy mix. All of his light buttons are plus. He does have some advantages in certain matchups, and I do think the fact that he can mess with resources is very important. I think him messing with the mechanics of the game is a crucial thing for certain characters. However, I don't feel like what he does in neutral, it's very similar to Sedira for me. What he does in neutral isn't threatening enough for any character to be like, oh my God, Spinal is like the best character in the game. There's nothing that Spinal does that's like outlandishly good. Like, he has some mix, right? He's got the overhead and the slide, and he's got some safe special moves. But outside of that, he doesn't do anything like amazing. His wake up options can all be covered as long as you know how to bait out the Skeleport, and you can punish the recoveries of his backdash. It's not easy, but if it's on paper and it's well practiced, this character becomes very difficult to use. And I don't think at a high level we're ever going to see Spinal win a big tournament again. Maybe some of these online tournaments that I host, you'll see Spinal doing well. But as far as Spinal by himself, I don't know. I think as soon as he runs into like Rash or Arya, it's going to be curtains. Next character on the list is my main character that you guys all love so much, Full Gore. And obviously nothing really has changed. I'm putting him in the S tier. I think this character has barely any bad matchups. I've talked about his matchups in a previous video, and I really feel like this is where he belongs. This character is the best in the game, you know? Not the best in the game, but he might as well be the best in the game, because he's going to stick at the top of the S tier for me. Just letting you guys know that right now. Spoiler alert. He's top 2. That's right. I'm putting Full Gore over anybody else in the S tier. And I feel like this character is just right behind the pinnacle. You know, like, this is as good as it's going to get if you don't play the very best. And that's just what it is. He's got everything he needs to have. And the few weaknesses he does have are still, you can still work around them because the character's just that good. And he's never truly out of the fight because he's Full Gore. That's what he does. All right, next in line for me is going to be Sir TJ Combo, who has moved up a little bit for me. He's going to be in the B tier. This character has several counter picks. I'm actually going to put him above Saber Wolf too. This character does have several counter picks, and I do think it'd be very hard for this character to win a tournament, but I don't think it's impossible. I think he's kind of like a rare thing these days because you really only see Devil play him, but at that level that Devil's at, Devil can beat anybody. I am a firm believer that Devil can beat anybody with his TJ combo at any given day. I've seen him beat Alex V. I've seen him beat Hologram. He's nuts. Devil is absolutely nuts. He can actually beat anybody with this character. So I don't believe he belongs in the C tier, and he's definitely not in my bottom 5 anymore. It's not happening. This character is really good, and I feel like he does have some bad matchups where it's going to be very hard for him to persevere and win the whole thing, but when it comes down to it, that instinct is nuts. That damage is nuts. The mix is nuts. The corner game. This character is definitely viable. It's just going to take a little bit of work. It's going to be a struggle. Moving on with our Season 2 characters here, we have Maya. And I believe Maya is going to be somewhere here in the A tier. Again, very middle of the road for me. Super solid character. Does have a few matchups where I'm just like, oh, what's Maya supposed to do here? But overall, very few weaknesses. You know, above average damage output. Very hard to break combos for people who are bad at breaking manuals. I think her combos are some of the hardest to break in the entire game as far as her juggle combos go, between using the daggers and using the tumble kicks and stuff like that. I don't think this character is bad at all. I just don't think that she's at the pinnacle where a lot of the S tier characters are. You don't see a lot of this character anymore in tournaments anyway, but I know what she's capable of. I was haunted by Season 2 Maya, and I saw all the changes, and I know she's not at the top of the mountain anymore, but she could definitely climb back up if a character specialist rises up and decides they want to take out everybody with an OD Maya. This character is not to be slept on. A tier for me. Moving on, once again, here we have the Sand Wizard, Conrad, and this character has moved up pretty far for me. I'm going to put this character here at the top of B. He does have several counter picks, but I do think it's possible that this character could win a tournament if the timing was right. I really feel like It's Time to Duel has basically rewritten the script for this character, and he's just out of control. His damage with meter is really good. The recapture that he gets in level 4 off the Spike Ender is nasty. The curse is probably the biggest thing for me because it literally changes matchups. Sand Scorpion, whatever, the Shadow Spike, I guess it is like busted in some matchups, like where this character's just like, what do I do now? Conrad has a life lead and he's sitting on the sand. How am I supposed to get in? And just the fact that he has the range that he has, it's just a scary thing. There are some characters that really don't care about Conrad. Like I feel like Arbiter, Rash, Gore. Again, this character has several counter picks that I think can make it hell for this character to even exist. But ultimately, it's not impossible for him to win, and he's definitely moved up on my tier list quite a bit. Alrighty, the next character on the list here is going to be Ripter. Ripter is a menace, and I've been playing this character a lot. I don't think you guys have seen my Ripter yet. I don't think I've covered her much. I might have to do some videos about her. This character is nuts, and I really feel like she belongs in the A tier. She has a handful of bad matchups, but I don't think she is impossible to use by any stretch. She has good damage, especially with meter. She's nuts. Her Oki is insane. Her pressure is insane. Her rushdown is insane. And I feel like she's super underrated. I feel like the character is actually really, really good. We saw Keith enter a tournament recently. He made it all the way to grand finals, Ripter only. And I feel like it was super competitive. That character is really good. I don't feel like she's busted. I'm not going to put her in the S tier or anything, but I do think this character is very strong, could very well win a tournament, and I think in the right hands, this character could be an absolute menace. A tier for me. All right. The next character in line is going to be Omen. I have Omen here in the S tier. He has not really moved for me. I think basically the same thing of the character. What else is there really to say? Mobility is busted. His everything is busted. His projectile staying on the screen when he gets hit. Shadow Orta, Shadow Rashakuken busted. He's got the full screen slide. He's got safe pressure. He's got a lot of stuff that's plus. His damage is pretty underrated in my opinion. And his mix-ups are just insane. This character is just an absolute monster. He is actually a demon. Like, there's no denying the fact that this character could win a tournament. He has won big tournaments. And I'm just tired of him, honestly. I'm looking for a reason to put this character lower, but I just can't think of one. As a full Gore player, I just hate this character, bro. I don't know. He'll never not be in the S tier for me, probably. I'm always probably going to put him in my top 5. I hate Omen so much. But yeah, the way he can cross you up at 3 different angles with 3 different cross-ups. Shadow form is just out of control. I do think the biggest thing for him is probably the meter build. The fact that he builds meter off of every single ender. Oh my god, what were they thinking? And then he gets 3 meters, and he builds so much of it so fast. Like, level 4 Fireball Ender builds you like 2 bars. Imagine building 2 bars with 1 ender. He's nuts. He's out of control. This character is just Way too good. All right, right next to that is going to be another S tier character here in Agnost. Again, no surprises here. Anybody that's been following along with the KI scene long enough, especially season 3, has seen what this character can do in the hands of Letalis and Night Slash. Agnost is just a force to be reckoned with. He breaks the game with his wall mechanic. He gets so much unbreakable damage, and he's just busted. There are some characters that legitimately cannot fight this character. He is the owner of the worst matchup in the game against Kim Woo. You can't even pay me to play that matchup. This character is out of control. He just controls the entire screen, and he only loses a handful of matchups. I really feel like he might only lose to like Fulgore and Ripter. And Fulgore's a big maybe for me these days, because I don't even know if he wins that anymore. It might be even. I don't know. Agnost, busted. S tier for sure. Coming up next, we have the ghost girl, Hisako, and she's going to stay in the A tier for me. She's pretty high up there these days. This character is very scary, no pun intended. Some of the best Oki in the game, some of the best mix-ups in the game. I really feel like her range is super underrated. Like, she can stand heavy punch you, I feel like, from like half screen. She just swings that stick and gets massive damage for it, and massive reward too. I really feel like this character is just a walking blender, can definitely win a tournament on her own, maybe has like a 7-3 or 2, but I don't feel like it's impossible for this character to just smoke everybody if all the reads are right. She puts every single character in the cast in the blender, and she even does well against the best character in the game. I don't feel like it's impossible for this character to win, and it's definitely hard to make this character lose. She is very annoying to fight, and there are some characters that see Hisako and just be like, well, I guess I gotta guess for my life now. She is the epitome of a walking blender. I love Hisako. A tier for me. All right, so we have Cinder up next, and this is going to be a big drastic change too, guys. I actually have Cinder here down at the bottom of B. I don't think Cinder's very good anymore. I'm going to be honest. I think this character is actually kind of lackluster. I think for this character to get started, it's kind of similar to Conrad. That's kind of why they're in the same tier. Conrad has to get the curse. If he lands the curse, which is very practical, he's got to throw you, or he's got to hit you with the antlion in some way, or the scorpion, whatever it's called, and then he can get the show started. Whereas a character like Rash or Agnost, they simply exist. They just do the things that they're meant to do in neutral, and that's what wins them the match. These characters have certain win conditions that they have to meet. Cinder getting his burnout against a good player, burnout kind of doesn't matter, because a good player is just going to wait it out, and then Cinder has to find the hit again, which Cinder isn't exactly a hard character to block. He doesn't have great mix-ups. He has to really have the Cinder player has to have a really strong throw game. They have to find a way to put a pyro bomb on you, which isn't impossible, but then they also have to find a way to get the hit with the pyro bomb, either off of a throw or some sort of weird trailblaze in. I don't know what this character's approach is supposed to be. He loses a ton of matchups. Gore, Glacious, Rash, of course. He's just very hard to win with, in my opinion. And we've seen this character in grand finals of certain online tournaments, but I feel like at the end of the day, in a really stacked tournament, a solo Cinder player is just going to have a very difficult time. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think the chances are very slim. His damage output could be nasty if he gets that burnout, right? If he gets that big ender, if he gets a level 4 burnout on both arms and legs, which again, that's like getting triple curses with Conrad. It's just very hard to pull off, and I just don't think much of this character anymore. I feel like he's just kind of whatever. So I have him at the bottom of B tier. Cinder, not doing it for me. All right, the queen of Ultra Tech herself, we have Arya. And yeah, this opinion's changed of mine. She's still in the S tier, but I actually have Fulgore above Arya these days. And it's pretty much because of the fact that I think Fulgore might actually beat Arya. Finding the things that I found in that matchup kind of determined why I put her at number 3 instead of number 2. And I also feel like people don't take into account the fact that if this character, in theory, is played perfectly, yeah, she's busted, right? But so is Fulgore. And the thing about Fulgore is that you could beat him up all you want, and he's still Fulgore. You start to beat up Arya, she's losing her tools over time. If you get rid of one of her bodies, she loses those special moves, and she loses all the perks that come with that body. You get rid of that sword, she loses her overhead. You get rid of the base body, she loses her zoning outside of instinct. She loses her tools over time, and no other character can really say that. So I don't feel like I don't feel like she could be the best in the game because of that. She's nasty, and I'm not downplaying Arya in any way because her instinct is crazy. Her damage output is crazy. Obviously, a top 3 character, very capable of winning tournaments. We've seen it time and time again. Sleep, Chronicle. It's it's a very obvious top tier character. The assists, busted. Everything about her is busted. Doesn't have really many weaknesses at all. I could see her struggling with maybe Idol a little bit, and I think she does struggle with Gore a little bit too. But overall, this character is just insane. Absolutely insane. Top 3 for me, Arya in the S tier. All right, we're starting season 3 now, and the first character is going to be Kim Woo. This has been a big change for me as well. I have Kim Woo right here in the C tier. I think Kim Woo is the worst character in Killer Instinct. I think all that she has is her damage output. I think her footsies, which is kind of supposed to be like her thing, right? Oh, she's got great walk speed and great footsies. There's always a character that does what she does better in every single category. And there are some things she just can't do. She can't get in on Agnost, that's for sure. And there are just so many characters where I'm just like, how is she supposed to even fight this? Have you guys ever seen Kim Woo versus Conrad? I don't know how she's supposed to fight that. There's no way. It's just not happening. That matchup is annoying to watch. It is just like, oh, poor Kim Woo. She is the owner of the worst matchup in the game. Agnost versus Kim Woo might be the only 8-2 matchup in the game. It's not good. It is just the worst thing. If you're a solo Kim Woo player, I have so much respect for you. But at the same time, what are you doing with your life? This character is never going to win a tournament. Ever. It's just not going to happen. Not by herself anyway. I don't think there's ever been a solo Kim Woo player that has ever won a tournament. And you could bring up Sonic Dolphin all you want, but he's also used Arbiter in the past, and he's using Gore now too. There's a very clear reason why Kim Woo hasn't been seen. She can't do it. She just can't do it. Crazy damage output, that Shadow Dragon cash out, amazing. The Dragon cancels, sure, could be scary if she gets in. She's got some good up close pressure, but if you allow her to do that, it's your fault. And I don't think this character is threatening in the slightest. I think Kim Woo is the worst character in Killer Instinct right now in 2022. I have her at bottom 1. That's it. She's not winning a tournament, folks. All right, moving right along, we have Tusk. Tusk is going to be going in the A tier for me, pretty much in the same spot as last time. I mean, Latalis has basically proved himself with this character. This character is nuts. One of the best instincts in the game. His damage output is crazy. Deflect is such a crazy mechanic. It literally changes matchups for the character, and he just doesn't get zoned either. His mobility is crazy. His range is crazy. Damage output. There are a couple characters that I think could give him a hard time. I think General Aram is one of them. I think that he kind of puts a stop to his nonsense because you can't deflect the command grab, and it's very hard for Tusk to take a turn. And I think Gore is a very obvious weakness too, just because medium laser just controls him so well. But other than that, this character is not really getting counterpicked, I feel like. I think he fights all the top tiers very well. I think he handles a lot of the low tiers. I think this character is very underrated, and I wish we saw more Tusk players. I have him in the A tier for me. All right, the next character in Season 3 here is Arbiter. I have Arbiter here on the lower end of A tier, a very strong character in his own right. I think he's a very good defensive wall character. I think somebody who has a great grounded foundation and understands the utility of his normals could really be a threat with this character. We've seen it with Sonic Dolphin. We've seen it with Delta Rayquaza. We're seeing it now with Wolf Slayer Ninja. This character is good, man. This character is very good. Having the grenades and the ability to command grab from so far away is such a scary thing to deal with. And it does. You might not think it leads to much, but his set play and the fact that these situations just loop themselves over and over and over again really is scary for a lot of characters. I think he can control the screen really well with his buttons, with his safe special moves, like his overhead is really good, and it's very hard to react to. And then he's also got pretty decent damage output on top of that. And then you take into account the instinct, the parries, the regenerating overshield. Overshield in general is crazy because as soon as he gets overshield, don't throw anything at this character. No projectiles. You got Jago charging a fireball, he's just going to charge right through it, and he's going to get a free hit. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good mechanic for the character. And I really feel like this character is just really good. He's in the A tier for me. He does have a couple matchups where I feel like, ooh, I don't think I'd pick Arbiter for this one. Gore comes to mind, of course. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm all set on that. But otherwise, I think this character can really handle a lot of characters in B tier very well. Cinder, I think he smokes. Arbiter can probably, yeah, he can definitely smoke Jago and Conrad. That's a given. This character's nasty, man. I like Arbiter a lot. I do have him on the lower end of A tier. I think the rest of the characters are a little bit more viable, but still a very good character. Could win a tournament on his own if the situation was right. You already know what's going to happen with this one, folks. We have the Rash. This has been the elephant in the room this entire time. Oh, who's going to go with the triple S tier? Yeah, it's Rash. I have Rash in a tier of his own. I don't think he belongs in a tier with Gore, Arya, Agnost, Omen, or Glacious, because this character literally breaks the game. He is just outside of the rules. He controls the pace in every single matchup. He doesn't lose to any characters, and despite having some 5/5s that might be challenging, I mean, I'm not a perfect Rash player either. You still have to play the character, right? And I think Alex V is the proof of that. You could just do whatever you want. You just literally do whatever you want. You have infinite mobility. You have crazy, easily accessible meterless damage. You have great priority. You have the best footsies in the game. You have Wrecking Ball. You have armor whenever you want it. And then you could put somebody in a mix-up with it. Oh my god, this character is out of control. And then not to mention he has like a top 5 instinct too. His instinct is busted. Oh my god, this character is just everything that you would want in a fighting game character if you're trying to win a tournament. And I know why you guys hate him so much, because you guys see him all the time. You see him winning these tournaments, you see him in top 8s, you see a bunch of Rashes, and it's very annoying, and I get that. But the fact of the matter is, this game's not getting changed. It's going to stay this way for the rest of time. The developers are not making any changes to Killer Instinct, and Rash is here to stay. And I do believe he's in a tier of his own. I don't think anybody in the entire game can say that they lose no matchups like he does. There's an answer for every other character in this game that's just like, you really want to beat this character? Play this character. You really want to beat Arya? Go ahead and pick Idol. You really want to beat Gore? Go ahead and pick Omen. There's like an answer for everything. At least one answer. Rash doesn't really have that, man. Like, Gore gives him a tough time. It's a tough 5/5, but he's not at advantage. Hisako, same thing. Hisako might be the best answer, but she just doesn't win. Rash, best character in the game. What'd you guys expect? Up next, we have Mira. Mira is a character that is very near and dear to my heart. I love this character, and she is strong. I do think this character can win a tournament, but the problem is she has some counter picks, and I have to put her in A tier because you guys will go nuts if I put her in B with Conrad. That would be sacrilege. No, I really do think she belongs here, and the main reason is her damage output. All it takes is one read with this character. You get one read, you get a life bar. And that's the biggest strength of this character right here. Now, the problem is she doesn't always get in. You know, she can't really do much against a character like Omen. I feel like even Cinder gives her some problems. But against the right characters, like against TJ, Conrad, against Sedira, characters that she can kind of smother, this character is very scary. Her pressure is nuts. I think that her mix-ups are the best in the game. I think she has the best mix-ups in the game. Her air game is second to none, in my opinion. The bats, crazy, super hard to block this character. And then the fact that she does the damage that she does, and she could just loop a lot of these situations over and over again, insane. I think this character's instinct is also really good. The fact that she gets infinite air dashes, as well as she gets the fact that her life will regenerate over time with the vampire mist. Just a really strong character. I have Mira in A tier for sure. All right, right after Mira, we have the Shadow Lord Gargos. I am putting him here in the B tier, right below Conrad. I think this character is good, but there are some glaring issues that the character has as far as characters he just kind of can't fight. I think having a weakness as big as like Arbiter, where he just shuts down the minions and the instinct so well, it's just like, ooh, I don't think I'd ever want to play that matchup, and you might not have a choice if you're a Gargos main. I think this character is busted in some ways, like having both minions out and having Gargos full screen against a character like Cinder or Jago. What do? You know, this character is great for counter picking characters that just don't get in. I think that's, you know, pretty obvious. But when you take a character like, I don't know, Tusk, who just completely controls all of his airspace, or Hisako, who just doesn't let Gargos get up sometimes, it's an absolute struggle. And this character doesn't have any wake-up options. I just don't think that he is all that great anymore. I think he's really intimidating, especially if you're trying to get in on him and he's the one zoning you. But if you can knock Gargos down, you can make some big things happen. I also don't think it's impossible for this character to win a tournament. I think the situation is right, kind of like Cinder, kind of like Conrad. This character could definitely make something happen. But you got to be nasty. You absolutely got to be nasty. And it's not going to be easy because there's going to be a lot of bad matchups along the way. but I do think this character is in the B tier. I'm going to put him right beneath Conrad. Not impossible to win with, but it might as well be. All right. After Gargos, we have General Rom. General Rom I have here in the B tier as well. This character is, got crazy damage output, very similar to Mira, but has like half the mobility. Maybe even less than half the mobility. This character is very, very slow. He's a wall. He's lumbering, if you will. And I don't think this character is bad. I think it's going to be very hard for a solo General Rom player to win some matchups. It's just where he belongs, man. He's the closest thing we have to Zangief in this game. He's the grappler character. And I don't think there's much room for error against this character. Like, if you mess up, it's just like, oh boy, you messed up against General Rom. That's not good. He has instinct and he locked you out. That's not good. But otherwise, he's just not very threatening, in my opinion. I think, like, the command grab game is scary. Yeah, he could definitely melt a life bar. Yeah. But if you're playing a character like Ripter, Glacious, Gore, Arya, even Mira, it's like, ooh, man, he's got like so many bad matchups. A lot of bad matchups. Mostly a lot of these bad matchups being like 7-3, like impossible. Like, how in the world is General Rom ever supposed to fight Gore, man? I just don't see it happening. Character can definitely be a problem for certain top tiers. Like, I think he could fight Rash. I think he could even fight Agnost slightly. But I just don't see it happening with this character, man. It's not going to be impossible for this guy to win a tournament either, but I don't like the chances. I wouldn't solo play General Rom personally. I mean, with that instinct, anything can happen. The damage over time is good too, but it's just like, he's just not threatening enough, man. He's got to get in. He's a grappler. He's got to get in there. I just don't see it happening. Sorry, Rom. All right, next in line here, we have Abba. And Abba, I'm putting him in the S tier too. This character is busted. Barely any bad matchups. I do think his instinct is the best in the game. I think he's got crazy pressure in warrior and mage form, and he basically dictates the pace of the matchup in every single matchup he plays. He's out of control. This character does the most. He is the most Unga Bunga character in the game. Maybe tied with Glacious. Glacious is pretty Unga Bunga too. But I have this character very obviously in S tier. He just does everything and has very few weaknesses. I think a character like Gore or Arbiter could shut him down. And I do think that this character might have a hard time with a character like Agnost too. But, I mean, you're already in S tier, baby. Like, everybody that's beneath you is beneath you for a reason. Idol is crazy. Such safe pressure. A lot of ways to get in on your opponent and shimmy them with the warrior walk speed and that jump arc. Oh, nasty. Instinct damage, instinct mix, nasty. You get that mix twice a game, you're golden. His Wasplat range is crazy. Unbreakable damage in mage is crazy. And he has the best shadow move in the game, by the way. The instinct shadow crushing destroyer with the lightning bolt attached to it. Insane move. Yeah, he has everything he needs to be considered an S tier character, in my opinion. Idol is out of control. That character, I don't know why that character hasn't won a tournament yet. I guess I got to start playing Idol more. Next in line, we're going to the Season 3.5 characters. You guys know I love these characters, right? Okay, we got Gore. Gore, I am putting here in the A tier. I think Sonic Dolphin has kind of redefined this character in a way, and I do feel like this character could win a tournament if the circumstances were right. He does have some matchups where I'm just like, how is Gore supposed to fight this? Like, how is Gore supposed to keep out TJ Combo? I don't see that happening. But then I see some other matchups where I'm just like, wow, Gore can really kind of put a stop to Wrecking Ball. Whoa, Gore might be not a bad answer for Rash. And I feel like he fights all the top tiers kind of well. I've seen him do well against Agnost, Gore, and Arya. And I'm just like, damn, all right, this character's got some pretty good matchups. So I feel like putting him in A tier is not the worst idea. Sonic Dolphin pretty much changed my idea of this character. I thought he was a lot lower back in the day. Nah, man, he was just very undiscovered. And I feel like the way that he's using his instinct is really strong too. I mean, we've known about the instinct for a long time. The fact that he hits the launcher ender into the recap, the launcher ender into the recap, into the launcher ender, and then he just keeps zoning you out. His zoning is arguably the best in the game, and I feel like his wake up options are all really good. Having a slow DP, a fast DP, the teleport, a really good above average backdash. Characters, he has everything he needs to win. He does get smothered up close a little bit, but he doesn't have it's not like he doesn't have a way out. He's got the defensive options to deal with a lot of these characters. So I feel like Gore is definitely a contender to win a tournament at some point. I think, give Sonic Dolphin the right day. That man's going to win a tournament with this character. I could feel it. I could absolutely feel it. Gore, very strong character, and I still don't like him. All right, the second and last character we have here is going to be Shin Hisako. Shin Hisako, I believe, belongs in the B tier. We've been seeing SVM doing work with Shin Hisako for so long, and she's even come close to beating like Chronicle and me in tournament with this character. I'm just like, oh my god. It is so scary when this character gets in and she does what she does. But I personally do not feel like this character is likely to win a tournament by herself. I feel like every tournament we've seen SVM win, she'll use her in like grand finals or something. But you'll see like Rash or Spinal come out along the way, because I do feel like this character can be a struggle in certain matchups. I don't like Shin against Agnost. I don't like Shin against Gore. There's just some characters that I just feel like don't care about Shin Hisako. Gargos, oh boy. You ever see Shin Hisako versus Gargos? Don't. It's rough. That character cannot get in. It is so hard. The fact that she has the mix that she has, though, is definitely what's keeping her out of C tier. I think if she gets the hit against anybody, it's potentially over, because this character is up there with Mira for the best mix-ups in the game. Absolutely out of control mix. She doesn't have the damage output necessarily. She's got pretty mediocre damage, pretty average damage. I'd say kind of comparable to Omen. But otherwise, I don't know, man. I just don't see this character winning a big tournament. She has a good backdash. She has a good DP. She has the best backdash. Her backdash is nuts. Her defensive options are good, but that's not the problem. It's not about her defensive options. It's about her offensive options. And with that forward dash that she has, the way that she just like teleports up in the air, it really hinders her against characters that she's supposed to get in on. It's very hard for her to get in on Gore, Arya, Gargos, of course, and it's just, I don't know. I just don't see Shin Hisako winning a tournament personally. There's a lot of counter picks there, and as scary as this character is up close, it's very hard for her to get there sometimes. I have her in the B tier. All right, we've come down to the last character on the list. We got Egirl right here. He is the last character of Season 3.5, the last character in Killer Instinct, and he's going to be going in the A tier for me. I have him right here, and I do feel like this character could win a tournament. We've seen Wheels get close so many times with just Eagle, fighting characters like Rash, fighting characters like Gore, and he gets close every single time. The character has, I would say, at least one counter pick. I would say like several. I would say he could possibly be in B tier, but the thing that's keeping him out of B tier for me is his pressure. He has infinite mix-ups. Again, up there with Shin Hisako, up there with Mira. These later Season 3.5 characters, they made so hard to block, and his corner game is by far probably the best corner game in the entire game. He can mix you any way he wants. But there are some characters that I feel like don't really care about that. Like Arbiter doesn't really care about it. I feel like Rash at the highest level is just way too hard for Eagle. We've seen it happen, but it's just not consistent enough, man. The numbers just show that Rash is going to win that matchup. I would say 8 times out of 10. I would say 9 times out of 10, but let's go 8 because I've seen it happen. Eagle can beat Rash. It's just not very likely. And the other big thing that's keeping this character in A and not B for me is just his neutral game, man. Arrows are annoying. Bird is annoying. And if you're not at the absolute highest level where you know how to deal with these tools, how to fuzzy guard him, and how to deal with the Screech effectively and go through the gaps, I made a video on that, by the way. If you're not doing that stuff, this character might as well be S tier. And I feel like he's a big scrub killer for that reason. He's definitely a scrub killer in that sense, because if you're playing Killer Instinct for the first time and you fight an Eagle, he doesn't have to do much to get you where he needs you to be. And then if you don't know how to use the defensive tools that your character has, especially if you have meter, to get through what Eagle likes to do, and you don't know how to fuzzy guard, it's over. He's just gonna loop the same situation over and over again. You don't have a way out, and that's gonna be curtains. So I do think this character is good. I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's overhyped as S tier like everybody thinks he is. And I don't think he's at the bottom of the barrel like all the Eagle players thinks he is. There's no way this character's bottom of the barrel. His offense is way too good. Way too good. Basically, if you look where he is on the tier list, he's basically middle of the road for me. Like this lower end of A tier. These are the characters that are just like, these are like the mid tiers of KI. From Orchid to Shadow Jago, those are like the mid tiers. And then B and lower is like, that's where it starts to be like mid-low and then low. And then I would say Orchid and above, Thunder and above would be, mid-high, right? That's where it starts to get into like the top tiers. This is my official tier list, guys. This is my tier list for Killer Instinct in 2022. Rash is in a tier of his own. My top 5 right here is Rash, Gore, Arya, Agnost, Omen. Man, I would really like to put Glacious in top 5. Should I put Glacious in top 5? I don't know. No, I can't do that. I want to do that, but I can't do that. These are my late revisions, by the way. I think I can't move anything, man. If I move anything, I feel like I'm gonna argue with myself. Like, why would I put Thunder over Tusk? I don't think I can. You know, I feel like this is as close as it gets for me. I know you guys are gonna hate this, and that's totally cool. Let me know how much you hate it in the comment section below, please. It helps me out with my analytics a lot. Let me know how much you hate this list. I think that's gonna be it for me, guys. This is my Killer Instinct tier list. Don't play Kim Woo. See ya.